Welcome to Sin City Programmers. This meetup is organized by Joshua Stacy, which we'll talk about in a moment. And now I'm hosting it moving forward. I'll have a link later on to get connected on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn group. That way we can, get connected, share jobs, resources, anything like that, share upcoming events. But really you are a part of a series of meetups that we're doing in particular. First off, my name is Justin Otero. I'm Director of Engineering at Navan. I'm also a career coach at Value Driven Careers. We put out a lot of content on social media about how to grow in your career, how to increase your impact, influence, and income. And then, like I said, I'm the host of the Sin City Programmers Meetup here. And this is Joshua Stacy.
Let's say hi real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just talk into me.
I would. But hello, everyone. How are you? We having a good tech alley? I'm super excited. So I just wanted to tell you guys two things that I think are really exciting. Now, they're partially my own self-interest here. But interesting thing one, what we're working on today is building a job board. Now, one of the things that you guys, raise your hand if you've never seen me before or met me before. Okay, all right, it's a small group, that's fine. So for the last several years, I've been in Vegas. I've been doing software engineering for small businesses and helping line up different jobs. What I've found is there's a lot of engineering talent in Las Vegas that's looking for work. And there's a lot of small businesses that need engineering and programming, but they don't know how to talk to each other. So I'm super excited that we're working on solving that problem with having the Sin City Programmer Board. The other thing that I'm going to say is that I'm going to be working on putting together an accelerator very soon. And we're going to start showcasing a lot of stuff that's built in Vegas. We're excited about Vegas. All that to say good things to come. So that's my opening start on this. Here you go, Justin.
Yeah. And again, a little more context about Joshua. He's a CEO, CTO of Big TB, which does all sorts of software-related work for businesses. He's the organizer of this, as well as Demo Day, so maybe some of you have seen him at the previous session that was just before this. But let's get into it. So, we're in part 2 of rebuilding a job board in 2025. The idea was we have a community of people here. We have co-founders, we have business owners, we have leaders that are all looking to hire or do something, right? They want to build and they don't know how to get the talent, right? Like that's always going to be a problem. But we have plenty of people here who are very talented, experienced, knowledgeable, who need jobs. And this is a rare case where you actually have the people together, right? If you think of Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Wellfound, Welcome to the Jungle, these platforms are just very widespread and you don't have the community there, right? So we're looking at how would we rebuild that today and how can we solve some of the pain points that are in job boards around right now. So last month, we really went into kind of the requirements and or feature set that we want, right? We know we kind of need a user. We know we need login authentication. We need company. That way you can like post jobs, etc. And this is kind of cleaned up a bit. It was like a big session where everyone got together and discussed like, well, what would we want in this? Some key things in there was how do we moderate it, right? As we're building this, we want to make sure that there's quality. We also wanted to think of where are we going to integrate AI? How can we solve some of those pain points for a startup who says, I want to build this app, but I don't know what type of engineer or do I need a designer? Do I need someone who's full stack, right? Like those questions are hard to answer if you don't have experience, right? As well as what we see too in the market is people don't know how much something should cost, right? They either get sticker shock when someone says it's gonna be like $5,000 or it's they're charging or they're offering $20 an hour for work of a very skilled type of person, right? So we also want to like put some guards around there and help them understand the cost of a specific project. And then the last thing also from an AI perspective is help them construct a plan, right? There's going to be many pieces of a project, and you may not need all the people today, right? If you're building a mobile application, you probably don't need a team of engineers, probably need one person, maybe a designer, maybe even a researcher before you even get the designer and the engineer, right? So helping them break down the problems to figure out what is it that we're building and what are the steps of the process. And then also, how do we know if these jobs are still active, right? I'm sure you've all applied to jobs where, you know, you're probably the 100th person, but it's more like you're the 1,000th person. I opened up 2 recs last week for our company. Overnight, we had 1,600 applicants. By the end of the week, it was 5,000, okay? How are we expected to find the right candidate when there's so many people, right? We need to somehow distill that down, right? So how can we better do that also? So this is really what we came up with as the minimum viable product, minimum lovable product, really what we could ship very quickly. Any questions about this? Because I'm going to show you this in a more formalized document. But yeah, any questions right now? Yes.
Where it says LLM expectations and integration. So you're looking to integrate it into the app, not just use it for the development.
Yes. Yeah, like I'm sure when it comes to build, like we will be using CodeGPT, Claude, etc., like to help our development process. But more so, how can we use that integration to again, like read through the job post, right? If you read any job rec, they're very general. They're not very clear about like what the goal is and what you need that person to do. How can we review it ahead of time with the LLM to say, hey, if this is what your goal is, you probably are missing some things, right? Or
One other thing, I will stand next to you.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that I think Justin just brought up that was something we hadn't really considered before was the fact that on the employer side, like right now the job market is fucked. And it's fucked in 2 directions. It's fucked for the employees and it's fucked for the employers. And well, Josh, this doesn't make sense. One of them should have the upper hand. No, because of AI. Now, so we have, I bet you some of these 5,000 applications, people used AI on. And I'm willing to bet there's not a good way to go through them right now. So when we originally started working on this project, it was sort of, in my mind, a fun exercise, right? Hey, if we were going to build this thing from a while ago, how would we do it with today's technology? But I'll say, as we're leaning in on this one, we might actually want to take a stab at the employer side of it, which is not at all the side we've been looking at it from, because how do they go through all of those candidates? Because, let me ask you this loaded question.
Yeah.
Does your company want to fill these roles?
Yes.
Is that why you put the ads out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously.
so they want to hire some people for these roles, but they can't because it's fucked. Anyway.
Well, and like, I think,
There's lots
yeah.
of the LLM on the project side, but not kind of on the hiring side, right? Like how do you go through, sift through all these applicants and stuff like that, and use the LLM to assist with that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna move over. By the way, let me just get a gauge here. How many people are programmers, product managers, designers, okay, business owners? Okay, there we go. Cool. So one of the things that we do, right, is we have a problem statement, and I kind of shared a little bit about that, but at the end of the day, this will come into a PRD, right, product requirements doc, and also a lightweight technical design. We're going to get into the technical design here momentarily, but in here we really break down, and I took everything that we had and just formalized it a little bit more so it's more structured and we can kind of guide us through this conversation, but we'll actually see that's going to be a feature in there, and it's very simply put of, we must review the applicants. But again, maybe that's something that we should build a part of this is how do we, again, make it easier? Because one of the challenges when we had 5,000 applicants was, well, we want to get the best people, right? So we're looking at who was in the interview process before, who was like good, but we just hired the person before we got through the rest of the interview cycle, right? So can we bring those people back? We're also looking at referrals, right? And are those referrals qualified, right? So we're looking at lots of different things. And at the end of the day, there is probably an even better candidate than the one that we hired, but we just can't wait that long. And when we did get it down to about 50 people and we put them through the interview process, what's most unfortunate is those 50 people, that was like 0.1% or like 0.1%. And those people, there wasn't a high success rate. So not only did like they get in and beat all those people, they were also underprepared, right? So now like I'm asking myself, and like this is kind of like off the cuff, but like what could we do to like recommend them like for the interview process? Like, hey, like these are some things that like you should probably be prepared for, right? So like, again, what more can we do to like really make this a really good experience for both employers and job seekers in this community? And I want to lean on this community part because that's the competitive advantage that this job board would have.
Well, and one other thing, and I know there's likely a leaning in here for at least some folks who don't like Daddy Trump, but he put a $100,000 a year fee on H-1B visas, which makes American engineering talent much more attractive. So that's some good news for anybody in this country looking for technical work.
We didn't need Mr. Trump to do that because we're hiring from Vegas.
Right. Well, no, I'm going to lead in on that one just a little bit more. So I've been in this town for about 4 years. This is home for me forever, by the way. We already obviously bought our retirement home. I've been involved in politics, ran for office. This is where I live now. This community really does like supporting itself, and it really is like 2.5 million people that all know each other. So when he said they're hiring in Vegas, a common thing that I hear, which is crazy, is they say, I don't know any programmers in Vegas. I know tons of them, and they like work. Let's make something happen.
Yeah.
I have a dumb question. How did you arrive at a job board for the solution to the hiring locally problem? Like, is there any other, like, were there alternatives, like a recruiting agency, or like, I don't know.
Well, the starting point was to find a simple task that we could work on as a group. And so it was less about like doing like the deep dive discovery. It's a great question.
Yeah, and just to like expand on that, my wife and I, Abigail over there, she runs the UX meetup here at Tech Alley. We have a coaching business, right? And one of the things that we feel very called to do is help people grow in their career. One of the challenges is there's a lot of people who are out of work. So about 50% of the people who we are talking to are saying, I want a new job, or I'm unemployed and I want a job. We also come and pour into this community with other leaders, and that's the common theme is there are people who want to work, and there are even more who want to hire, right? And so that's the thing is we have everything we need right here. When it comes to agency recruiting and stuff, what's different about that is it's more so very incentivized for that agency when this should be for the community, right? We want to make this open and really for this Tech Alley, Las Vegas, because there's a lot of talent here. And I say this as someone who works for a company in Palo Alto, okay? I would love to work for a company local, right? But I have way more opportunity in other places as a remote worker, and it's a lot easier for me to get a job for one of those companies than to get a job here. And I don't know why that is, but we're gonna try to solve some of that stuff. Gary, you had a question, comment?
Comment. Part of it is, I opened my mouth as an employer, and I said, I'm coming here to Tech Alley, and I mentioned to John, but then to Justin, someone wants to hire locally. How do we do that? Because I come from the chamber, and most of the people at the chamber go and say, I want to hire locally. I came from California, I came from someplace else, moved my business here because there were financial incentives to come here. Now I want to hire locally. Why? Because we believe people being in the office. We also believe in what a resource like Tech Alley can promise, as opposed to feeding money to Monster or to Upwork or any of those that don't care about any of us. We want to support Vegas when we want to support our efficiency for our business. That's why the job board as a specific avenue was created, as opposed to going to some kind of agency or other remedy to hire.
Yeah.
Vegas really is this funny little town where people really like knowing each other, and like you'll figure it out real quick. So in some ways, this is just a vehicle for being like, oh, go to SimCityProgrammers.com. Oh, you see Brendan on there? Cool, I know Brendan, blah, blah, blah. Like, because a lot of times a business owner, and I say this having been a business owner for almost 2 decades, just wants the problem solved. And if there's problem solved with somebody locally, and I'm building my community, if I'm a business owner in a community, I care about that community. And so it's just this reinforcing sort of mechanic where then like, yeah, so anyway, I'm all on Vegas in case.
But, and like, this is a competitive advantage being here and being a part of literally people hiring here, right? That's a very big thing. One sec. I know you had a question?
This might be going a little bit off piece with this,
Okay.
but as this thing is local, are some of the features in here about going to like live events where you're actually meeting people, right? So one of the problems, as you pointed out, of course, someone did, right? These resumes and other things are being produced by LLMs, right? If you send out, some sort of test or whatever it is to a programmer to kind of prove their skills, that can also be, done with LLMs and others. So would it make sense, as this is a local thing, to have sort of include live events in this thing? So you're meeting these people, I mean, like this, right? But have it included in this kind of job board where it's like, okay, there's this job, these are the types of people that we're looking for, come to this live event, kind of thing, come to this gathering. How are the people that are specifically trying to get that job?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and and to kind of bring it back to like what we're doing here, and maybe we'll get to it in the session, and if it goes awry and we just discuss this idea further, I'm happy with that. One thing that we've realized too, as people come to these meetups, is you have a range of experience levels, right? We have people who own businesses delivering software solutions. I'm a director of engineering. We have people who are new grads coming in or switching their careers, right? So we have a range of experience. And Aaron, you're a front-end engineer, right? Cool. Any back-end, front-end, full stack?
Back-end.
Okay, back-end, cool. When you go into a company, right, especially a big company, you don't get the opportunity to deliver the entire development cycle, right? You're not developing, you're not managing the pipeline, you're not deploying front end or doing database migrations, you're not worrying about site reliability. There's an entire scope of a project, and you are responsible for one piece of it. And what we recognize is in this community, there are people who, if they want to make money, right, and if they're trying to solve a problem for a business, they need to actually know the full stack. They need to know every bit of it. They need to know how to have a conversation with the business owner and distill what the requirements are. So we're not particularly trying to boil the ocean here and say let's do everything, but also really go through the exercise of what is it we're trying to build? What is that MVP? What is the most impactful thing that we can deliver and deliver quickly so we can get it in the hands of users? And then once we do that, we can iterate, right? We can go and take it further and people can maybe make a pull request and patch a bug, a vulnerability, or roll out a new feature, right? So like that's what we want to do, is we also want to equip this community to actually know how to think through a problem, define it, build it, deploy it, and actually have some success metrics, right? Because as business owners, we can build you something, but if it actually doesn't do the right thing, if we can't prove that you're getting conversions, right, or it's speeding up the process to onboard, then what did we do, right? We just burnt your money and we hung out together, right? And we don't want that, right? So we also want to think about that. Gary, you had some questions?
Just a comment. My goal as a member of the chamber and as a businessman here, trying to grow my business here in Vegas, yes, we can hire all over the nation. We've got 23 businesses, we've got locations all over. But this is where we want to hire from. And believe it or not, when I come to Tech Alley, I'm interviewing everybody that I talk to. Maybe one day I'm going to hire Josh over here.
You'd love that.
Yes, I would. As a contractor, while a lot of you, as individuals, might be able to be employed by me someday. Maybe I can afford you or have a task that you're perfect for. And as I go around the chamber and go to chamber meetings and I'm talking about Tech Alley, and it's like, everybody likes the idea of homegrown. And guess what? If you already live here, I don't have to pay for you to move. I don't have to pay for a lot of things.
You don't have to sell us on living in the desert. You've already decided to be inside.
Yeah, I mean, it reduces, my costs and my burden, and you're already here. And so those are some of the realities of what we're trying to accomplish.
And actually what's interesting is I work remote for a company in Palo Alto. All of engineering for our company is actually in Palo Alto, Berlin, and Tel Aviv. So I'm very fortunate and blessed to work here, also not pay state income tax. But as a remote worker, right, if you are applying for a job and they don't have any employees in this state, there's cost and orchestration for them to set up a legal entity here in this state. Right? You actually don't realize, and you can't connect those dots as an applicant applying for a remote job, but that is an actual thing, right? So that's something to actually keep in mind as a remote worker, is if they don't have someone here, it's extra work for them just to hire you.
Well, extra work, extra expense,
Yeah.
extra legal compliance. So to sort of punt this thing forward,
Yeah.
so I've been one dragging it back as well. 2 points. One, so I bought SimCityProgrammers.com. We can put the job board there. We can put it a bunch of other places. I don't really care. What I do care about is that we get the job board up. And the biggest thing on that is just partially to give an opportunity for anybody here that's got talent to be able to showcase what they've been working on, to really get out there. If you're working on developing a portfolio, I've done probably more product launches than anyone in the city. Most of them have not been successful. Few have. It's been fun. All that to say, I get a lot of it back, which gives me a lot of project experience. So if folks are looking for experience, I can help with that. Why all of that is important is Gary is not the only one that goes to the Chamber of Commerce. In fact, there's a lot of business events that happen in Vegas every friggin' month where there are local businesses looking for talent. And a part of what this job board can do is help organize who can work on projects. So Brendan's been working with me on projects here for a while. We frequently have to tag team stuff. And it's nice to know who's good with this, that, and the other thing, or just who's looking for work. Because the other thing is, once I've got you on my stack and you're familiar with the way that I work and the way that we interact, it's easier for us to get stuff out to businesses. And businesses don't care about what frameworks used. They don't care if it's a relational database. No, they care if the problem is being solved and if they're further ahead. More revenue, less expense, less risk, and in that order. And so if we have the deliverable of something up, even if it's imperfect, then we can point to that, and then when Gary or anyone else is just out in the community, we can say, hey, look, here's an actual thing, here's an actual rallying point. You can find the local talent, and that, right, I said this is my home. I want to see this community develop like crazy. That's a part of why on a Saturday I'm here. anyway, all that to say, I'm like, yeah, I think if we have that board up at all, because there's a lot of, so like I put this together, Josh Levitt, most of you probably already know that. He and I both ran for public office. There's a lot of audience around everything that's happening with Tech Alley. So as soon as we have something that's like online that we can point to, we can get a lot more eyeballs on it. So that's my way of saying, let's get to it, Justin, since I
All right. Well, and I'm wondering like how technical we can get, or if there's just value because we have such a diverse group today to just run through this document and just gut check and see if like this stuff all makes sense right now.
Show of hands on a talking session.
Or very technical, and you guys can be a part of like, you know, how the sausage is made per se.
So we've got tables and markers and paper, so the idea was to have today be a working session. Raise
Yes.
your hand if you think working session. Okay, raise your hand if not working session. All right.
Okay, cool. Well, let me just run through it really quick because let me zoom out real quick. So on the tech side, there are 3 areas we want to go into, and I'll put the requirements up here so you can kind of see what we're trying to get through. Like I said, we're not trying to build every possible thing, but that MVP. We want to focus in on these 3 areas, and I'll try to scroll up a little bit. Whatever, we'll get there. The architectural overview, right? So what I would recommend is we can probably like divide and conquer. We want to diagram the pieces that we're going to need, right? So in order to actually build this application, we're going to need a server, we're going to need a database, we're going to need some tables, there's going to be a front-end application, right? Like, so like, what are all these things and how do they relate? How do they communicate? We also want to really talk about the data model, right? I think this is probably where the most questions come up because really everything that we do comes down to data, and how we model this data will also determine like how fast we can query job results, if there's any sort of metrics and analyzing of this data in the future, right? So the data model I think is going to be a really important piece to talk about. And if we're feeling very, I don't know, if we have the energy and we have the time, we can talk a little bit about the APIs that we're going to need, any type of parameters and possible payloads. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about us making an API for it. And I'm like,
No.
that's pretty good.
No. Just literally like, you know, we're going to need some REST APIs to do this. So, so we have 2 tables here. There's some Sharpies. Don't write too heavy, right? Because there's a table under there and it will bleed. Yeah, light touch, be gentle. Don't ruin those pens. But these are, and actually I think I have it in a Figma here. So right over here, and this looks a bit overwhelming, and I hope you guys can read it all. This is like the full scope of what we're thinking the MVP can be, right? So, man, I'll just make it bigger. We can focus on the user onboarding, company onboarding. We've made the assumption that we'll use LinkedIn or Google for authentication. We need to sign up, and a user, we should be able to collect some basic information about that user. What type of role are they, or talent type, I think is what they called it. If they have like tech stack or skills, right? The industry interests. They should be able to upload a resume or a portfolio. There are some constraints that we've put in place where it's like PDF, doc, right? So like, don't get too hung up on that type of stuff, but you could probably talk about document storage, that type of stuff. From a company standpoint, again, we need to capture the name, their website, a short description, a logo. It's optional. We call it out of scope. But then we get to jobs, right? Job title, description. We said 2 things, task and problem description, as well as like job type or gig type, freelance, part-time, full-time. And they need to manage jobs, right? You need to be able to view applicants, update a job post, deactivate it. And I put a line item here for like to mark if it was filled through platform or off platform. So again, when you think about how you would model that in the database, like you can probably think about that because that's one of our success metrics is how many jobs were filled on platform. And yeah, you have some success metrics here. So as you think of how you model this, you can think of, all right, how would we measure the success of this application? And there's some moderation. I would say stay away from the moderation problem because moderation is going to be something we'll solve later. But yeah, that's really what we want to really think of the high-level design and database schema. Any questions?
So I'm assuming we're going to split up into front and back end like last time?
Yes. Yeah, so if you are interested in the application layer, right, so what the users are going to interact with, go to this side. And then if you're interested in the database, some of like the how we're going to communicate, how we'll model those relationships, go to this side. Yes?
Are you going to have a search feature?
Yes, I think, oh, here. I don't know why I didn't put it in here. Yes, there should be, yeah, there'll be search for jobs and search for applicants probably. Yeah, I think I just probably assumed that like you would search.
Has anyone in here built a search feature before?
Yeah.
And not like just MySQL-like queries, but like, you know, if someone with the, you know, if you type front end and then you misspell something. Or
Like fuzzy search?
Yes.
Yep.
Dude,
And,
tuning that is tough, right?
well, again, you can, yeah, like you can, we can make things better, right? And if you say like, you know, you can make the decision of maybe doing a search directly on the database isn't great. Maybe you push it out to OpenSearch or Elastic, like you can have those conversations. But yeah, I think back-end people or people interested in that, stay here. Front-end people over on this side.
Brendan, it's been real.
Yes?
Peace, Josh. I'll see you later.
Yes?
Is there a place that has all these, like the Figma file and like the Google Docs? Is there a place that just has them listed so we can check back at it or no?
I actually didn't have time. I was supposed to, and I don't have internet. Otherwise, Josh, you have the internet for this room?
What's that?
Do you have the internet for this room?
No.
Neither do I.
I don't know.
Okay. I'll definitely get that too. And yeah, I'll make sure this stuff is shared out. So, yeah.
Charlie, you got some, Bernie, you got some Wi-Fi for us?
Not today.
Not today, all right.
Okay. But yeah, like, no time like the present. So I do think we have to make use of the time. All right, guys.
10,
Yeah.
9, 8, 7.
All right. Well, yeah, really quick. So just show of hands. Did you guys enjoy like this session? Like kind of going through, breaking this stuff down? Like, yes, you guys, there's more hands in here. I know someone enjoyed it. You guys were having a grand time. Okay. Well, like really we went through kind of some of the architectural overview. We discussed some database design. Front-end team over here broke down like their tech stack, some of the APIs, shared some of the tables that they're gonna need to really deliver this. And, you know, to share about like the vision, right? We obviously wanna connect job seekers, employers in this community, but we also want to equip this community and take them through the process, right? Like if you're a business owner wondering like, why does it cost so much to build these things? This is why, right? Like we have to really have foresight into like how the system's going to grow, what are the constraints, what are we going to want to do with this data when we get it, right? And that's really what we're going through together is that discovery, that documentation, those technical designs, and we're going to continue this process in the next sessions, for now, I'm gonna leave this up here. This is our meetup group. We just started it on LinkedIn. So we do have a meetup where we post, but like this is where we can get connected on LinkedIn, and we'll continue to post about these sessions and share what's to come. Awesome, but we're so happy to have you guys. Thank you for really like all the support and just getting involved into this process. Yeah.